Hello, my friends. Close your eyes and imagine a deep blue color. Calm, strong, beautiful. This color is called Neel or indigo. It is not just a color. It is a long story of people, power, pain, and beauty. Long ago, before modern colors, people looked for color in nature. They used plants, stones, and earth. One special plant gave a deep blue color. This plant was called indigo. From its leaves, people made Neel. The story of Neel begins thousands of years ago. In ancient lands like India and Egypt, people already knew this blue color. They used it to dye cloth. Kings, queens, and rich people loved this color. It was rare and strong. It did not fade easily, so it became very special. In ancient India, people grew indigo plants in warm lands. Farmers cut the leaves and put them in water. The leaves slowly changed. They made a blue paste. This paste became the color we call Neel. It was hard work. It needed time, care, and skill. In ancient Egypt, blue color was also very important. It was the color of the sky and the Nile River. People believed blue had power. It was a color of life and protection. Clothes with blue were seen as rich and strong. Neel was not only a color, it was also a trade. Traders carried Neel from one land to another. They traveled long distances. They crossed deserts and seas. This blue color became very valuable. Sometimes it was called blue gold. People in ancient Greece and Rome also used blue dye, but they did not have strong indigo plants like India, so they paid a lot to get it from far lands. This made India very important in the world of trade. But this beauty had a hidden story. Making Neel was not easy. It needed many workers. It needed strong hands. Farmers worked in heat. They worked in water. The smell from the dye process was very strong and bad. Still, people continued, because Neel was money. Slowly, Neel became part of life. It was used in clothes, art, and culture. Brides wore it. Kings wore it. Even religious cloth sometimes had blue color. So, my friend, this simple blue color was not simple at all. It was full of history, work, and meaning. But this is just the beginning. In the next part, the story will grow bigger. New lands will enter. New powers will rise. And Neel will become even more important and dangerous. The blue color began to travel far and wide. It is no longer just a local color. It becomes a global treasure. In the Middle Ages, trade became stronger. Traders from Arabia, India, and Africa moved goods across lands and seas. Indigo was one of the most wanted items. It was small but very valuable, easy to carry but hard to make. Indian indigo became famous. It was deep and strong. People trusted its quality. Cloth dyed with Indian Neel stayed blue for a long time. This made it very special in markets. In Europe, people wanted blue clothes, but they had only a weak plant called woad. This plant gave a light blue color. It was not as rich as indigo. So when indigo came from India, it changed everything. At first, some people in Europe did not like indigo. Woad farmers became angry. They feared losing their work. Some countries even tried to stop indigo. They made laws against it. But people loved the color too much. Slowly, indigo won. Markets and cities became full of blue cloth. Rich people showed their power with deep blue clothes. Painters also loved this color. They used it in art. Blue became a symbol of wealth and beauty. Ships carried indigo across oceans. Big trade routes formed. India became a center of indigo production. Farmers grew more plants. Land was used more and more for Neel. But there was a problem. The more people wanted indigo, the more pressure came on farmers. They had to grow more, they had to work harder, and sometimes they had no choice. The demand for Neel changed villages. Fields that once grew food now grew indigo. This caused trouble. People needed food, but land was used for color. Still, trade grew. Indigo reached Africa, Europe, and Asia. It became one of the most important dyes in the world. The blue color was everywhere, on clothes, flags, and art. But behind this beauty, there was growing tension. Farmers were tired. Land was changing. Power was shifting. And then something big happened. New rulers came, new systems started, and the story of Neel turned darker. In the next part, we will see how power and control entered the world of indigo, and how this blue color became a symbol of struggle. My friends, now the story becomes heavy. The blue color, once beautiful, begins to bring pain. In the 17th and 18th centuries, European powers came to India. They wanted trade, money, and control. Among them, the British became very strong. They saw indigo as a great business. The British forced farmers to grow indigo. This system was not fair. Farmers did not choose it. They were told to grow Neel instead of food. The system was called the Indigo Plan. Farmers got small money at the start, but later they had to sell indigo at a very low price. They lost money. They fell into debt. The land also suffered. Indigo plants took a lot from the soil. After growing indigo, the land became weak. Farmers could not grow good food crops. Farmers were trapped. They needed food, but they had to grow indigo. They worked long hours. Their families suffered. Hunger became common. The process of making indigo was also hard. Leaves were soaked in water. Workers had to stand in dirty water for long hours. The smell was strong. It made people sick. British planters became rich. They built big houses. They lived in comfort, but farmers lived in pain. Sometimes farmers tried to say no, but they were punished. They were beaten or forced again. Fear spread in villages. This time in history is very important. It shows how a simple thing like color can control lives. But people did not stay silent forever. In Bengal, farmers started to fight back. They refused to grow indigo. They spoke together. This became known as the Indigo Revolt of 1859-1860. It was a big moment. Farmers showed courage. They stood against powerful people. Writers and leaders supported them. Stories of their pain spread. This fight made people think. It showed the truth behind indigo farming. The blue color was no longer just beauty. It became a symbol of struggle and injustice. Slowly, change began, but it was not easy. It took time. In the next part, we will see how this system started to break and how science brought a new change that shocked the world of Neel. After pain and struggle, a big change came, not from farmers, but from science. In the late 19th century, scientists in Europe worked on colors. They wanted to make dyes in labs. These were called synthetic dyes. A German scientist found a way to make indigo in a factory. This was a big moment. Now, blue color did not need farms. It could be made quickly and cheaply. This changed everything. Natural indigo from India became less important. Factories in Europe produced large amounts of blue dye. It was cheaper and faster. Farmers in India slowly stopped growing indigo. The painful system began to break. This was good for many farmers. They could grow food again. But it also caused problems. People who worked in indigo trade lost jobs. Old systems disappeared. Still, synthetic indigo spread fast. It was used in clothes around the world. One famous example is blue jeans. This strong blue color comes from indigo dye. Even today, jeans use indigo. The world changed from farms to factories. Science replaced nature. But something was lost, too. Natural indigo had history, it had culture, it had stories of people and land. Synthetic dye was easy, but it had no soul. Over time, people forgot the old ways. Indigo became just a product. But history remembers. The story of Neel is not just about color, it is about power, pain, and change. In the next part, we will see how indigo still lives today, and how people are trying to bring back its true meaning. Stories never truly end. They change, and sometimes they return. Today, many people are again interested in natural indigo. They want to use safe and natural colors. They care about the environment. Synthetic dyes can harm water and land. Factories can pollute rivers. This made people think again about natural ways. In India and other countries, some farmers started growing indigo again. But this time, things are different. They choose to grow it. They are not forced. Small groups and artists love natural indigo. They use it to make special cloth. These cloths are handmade. They are unique and full of history. The process is still slow. Leaves are still soaked. Color still comes slowly. But now people respect this work. Natural indigo is also used in traditional crafts. Old skills are coming back. This helps local communities. People now see indigo not just as a product, but as culture. In fashion, natural indigo is becoming popular again. Designers use it to create eco-friendly clothes. These clothes are safe and beautiful. But natural indigo is still small compared to factory dyes. It is more expensive. It needs time and care. Still, its value is growing. People also learn about the past. They learn about farmers and their struggles. This makes the story of Neel important again. Museums, books, and films tell this story. They show how one color changed lives. So, my friend, indigo is alive again, but in a new way. In the final part, we will bring all this together, the full journey of Neel, from ancient beauty to pain, to science, and to new hope. Neel, or indigo, started as a simple plant. It gave a beautiful blue color. People loved it. It became part of culture and life. In ancient times, it was rare and special. Kings and rich people used it. Traders carried it across lands. Then came the time of big trade. Indigo became blue gold. It made countries rich, but it also brought pressure on farmers. Then came the dark time. Farmers were forced to grow indigo. They suffered. They lost land, money, and freedom. The Indigo Revolt showed their courage. After that, science changed everything. Synthetic indigo replaced natural dye. Farms became less important. Factories took control. And now, in modern times, indigo is returning again, not as control, but as choice, not as pain, but as art. This story teaches us many things. It shows how something beautiful can also cause pain. It shows how power can change simple things into tools of control. But it also shows hope. People learn, people change. Old mistakes can lead to new paths. Today, when you see blue jeans or blue cloth, remember this story. Remember the farmers. Remember the history. Neel is not just a color. It is a story of humans, a story of struggle and survival, a story of past and future. Thank you, my friend, for listening to this journey.